Bang, bang. Welcome. Week 3 NFL DFS, where we're going to break down the plays, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and some defense. Got our boy Price and Dustin with us. We'll start out with quarterback. Dustin, start us out. Who are you eyeing early on here at the quarterback position?
I'll give you my guy that I'm eyeing is Herbert. Herbert against the Cowboys. You know, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I like seeing us win. But the guy throws it. They're throwing it a ton. They're going up against Kansas City. I just think it's a good matchup for him for A, the volume, but B, the scoring. Kansas City obviously has given up a lot of points this year. LA comes in with a potent offense. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams has looked great. Eckler seems to be healthy. So I think he has a ton of weapons, great spot, and a ton of volume. They don't run it as much as most teams. So I like Herbert.
What about you, Price? Where do you fall?
Big Russ this week. Love him in this matchup. He's a little expensive, but the dude's just been fire to start the year. I don't see him having a letdown game against a defense that just gave up, 400 yards to Kyler. Very similar kind of quarterback. So I see him throwing 300 plus, at least 3 touchdowns. And then he doesn't run as much anymore, but he always has the chance to. Also, I really like Daniel Jones this week. I texted Dustin Monday, said, "Hey, it's Daniel Jones week, motherfucker." And he literally scrounged up a picture from years ago that says Daniel Jones is a fuck stick that I sent. But he's cheap. He's averaging 25 points a game. I think he has a third most rushing yards of any quarterback.
Yeah.
He'd have the most if they didn't get that stupid holding penalty.
Yep.
That got a touchdown call back. But dude's been fired. Soft matchup. Atlanta sucks. So that's a really good cheap play, I think, is Daniel Jones.
That is a good cheap play. I'm with you 100% on Russell Wilson and pairing him up with Tyler Lockett. Minnesota doesn't have the same terrible defense player-wise as they did last year. Their secondary is revamped, but they're not putting it together at all. And the cover two man, Tyler Lockett is going to eat that alive. So it's a little bit more expensive with Russ at 7,600, but I love this matchup, the Seattle and the Vikings. I would even say GPP matchup, good play is Kirk Cousins at 6,300 on DraftKings. I believe he's 7,700 on FanDuel. You could go that route and then pair that up with. I'm not necessarily going on wide receivers right now, but then pair that up with Lockett instead. But quarterbacks is a huge position for what do you want to pair and stack with it. And so I really love either Russ or if you want to go cheaper, Kirk Cousins. And the Daniel Jones is a little further out there, but he makes some very valid points. So that's who we like at the quarterback position. Let's move on over to running back. And Price, start us out. Who do you like for high, low? Like what's your favorite plays at the running back spot?
So my personal favorite play that I think I'm going to cram into every lineup is Eckler. He's fairly cheap, 7,200. 7,200 on
7,200.
DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel. Great matchup. He had 9 catches last week, 15 carries. So you give him 20 touches. It's a high-paced game. It's going to be like the only good early game. I just feel like he's going to have a ceiling game. He very well could run for over 100 yards because the Chiefs have gotten gashed on the ground by both the Browns and the Ravens. And then you add in his little checkdowns he's going to catch. I mean, the dude should have 25 plus points. I just feel like that is his floor this week is a ceiling game. The other guy I really like is Javonte Williams. Rode him last week. Of course, they get down inside the 5 and then just run the clock out instead of him score. But he gets 15 touches a game. The Jags are atrocious. They get up. He's going to get the run, not Melvin. So very well could be a 15 to 20 touch game for him. Against that defense, he's another guy who should have 100 total yards and maybe a touchdown. So at 4,900, super cheap play. What about y'all?
Yeah, I like your running back, Eckler there. People overreacted for week one with him not having any targets, and obviously came back, had 9. So I think he'll fall somewhere in between that, generally most weeks. But yeah, 6 to 9 targets is always good. For me, running back that I like as far as the top end guys, obviously Cook, if he's healthy, I think it's a good matchup, but he has a sprained ankle. So I'll go down to Chubb. I know Price kind of talked about off the air before. If he gets the volume in any week, I mean, the dude he's averaging, like 6 yards a carry, 5.5 week one, like 8 last week on 11 carries. So good matchup. Chicago, looks like Landry's out, Odell out, so they're gonna have to rely more on the run game, like you were saying. So I think he's a good. I don't think a ton of people will go with him this week just because of the 11 carries. So maybe more of a GPP play. I have to look at ownership, but I think he's good. Cheaper guy, not super cheap, but one that's intriguing to me is Saquon at 6,500. He almost doubled his snap share from week 1 to week 2. Obviously had that big run last week, showed some explosiveness. And, when you're getting somebody of that caliber at 6,500 in a good matchup, like you said, Atlanta sucks. And obviously, a true 3-down back, I think there's a lot of upside there. So I like Saquon, a little sneaky play there at 6,500. Obviously getting more involved by the snap share. So could see 80% plus percent this week.
Yeah, I love all those plays. I'm with each and every single one of them. A couple things that I would caution. At first, I really like Kamara's price tag is falling down, 8,200. New England is also really poor against the run, actually, so far this year. But the Saints' offense just looks atrocious, and at 8,200, I just don't really want to go to Kamara. I want him to show it a little bit more first. That offense is terrible. Speaking about a bad offense with a player I actually do kind of want to play at least in GPPs is James Robinson. They have literally no talent behind him, but their offense is god awful. And me and Price kind of joke a little bit. We always make fun of Trevor Lawrence for a number of years, and also not a huge fan of Urban Meyer. So seeing them both, I don't take joy in seeing people fail, but it gives me a little smirk to see their offense do absolutely nothing and look really pathetic. Price, do you have that stat that you sent me a text today?
So the 2 most off-target throws by quarterbacks first, to start a season. Trevor Lawrence is first with 35% of his throws off target, and Tim Tebow's second at 34.5%. And a couple of years ago, I got into my first ever Twitter argument with these assholes about how I said Trevor Lawrence is just right-handed Tim Tebow. And they I've never had so many people come at me for no reason when I just showed the stats to back it up. And they said, no, it's different. But guess what? Stats don't lie, motherfuckers. It's true. And he's on a bad team, bad offensive line, bad skill positions. They're going to get trounced for years.
Coming out with the hate.
I will say Antonio Gibson's probably a really good play this week.
Yeah,
it's cheap. He had a bad week last week. Recency bias, nobody's going to touch him. They have a really good matchup, run wise, and he's going to get the work.
Yeah, it wasn't really a bad week.
He's going to get 20 touches. He's got to get 20 touches.
He just didn't do anything with him.
Yeah, he got 5.3 yards per carry. So I mean, yeah,
I think he's a fantastic GPP play this week.
Yeah,
love it.
I even like him in cash, to be honest. He's so low priced. Another guy I'm staying away from is my boy Derrick Henry. He is the only reason why they won last week and did amazing things. They have 2 offensive linemen that are hurt. He still did his thing, but 8,600. I'm gonna try to. Derrick Henry has weeks where he puts up like nothing as well. I'm not saying that this is going to be this week. I just don't see the huge outburst, and his price tag is 86, and ownership. We'll have to see how that comes in. But Derrick Henry is another player that I'm very cautious on, and I don't think I'm going to have in any of my lineups this week. Let's move on. Let's move on. I think we did a pretty good job there at the running back position. Let's move on to wide receiver. Let's let our boy D Reed start us out.
Okay, so receiver, obviously, we have a lot more. So I'll just kind of give a quick few at the top that I like, and then some more, in the lower range. I actually really like Diggs this week. I mean, last week the Buffalo game was weird, and he still got 8 targets, 13 week 1. I just think it's a good bounce back game for him, especially at the 7,600. He's going to be a safe play because of the volume. In that offense, they throw the ball a ton. I'm going to go back to the well with my guy Keenan Allen. He's dropped in price, 6,600, averaging about 20 points, fantasy points per game. Got a high scoring affair against Kansas City. Going to get a ton of targets. They kind of throw the ball like Buffalo a lot. So he's going to get 10 targets at least, especially if they're playing behind. So I really like Keenan Allen. Going lower end guys, I like, a guy like Pittman. I know we're on a week 1, didn't have his game. I just think, Tennessee's secondary is not the best. I think he can have another good game. But Robert
might have Jacob Eason thrown to him.
This is true. Yeah, you obviously got to watch the injury report, who's throwing to him. But that being said, I mean, Eason's not the worst. He's not as bad as the Houston backup.
Oh, shots fired.
That guy was terrible.
I would almost rather go to Jonathan Taylor at the running back.
Yeah, no, we're not getting into it. I'm just talking about
makes me a little nervous.
But Robert Woods, to me, I'm gonna.
He's due. I think.
Yeah.
Because Cup's been money. Woods is due to go the fuck off.
And it's going to be a high scoring game. I mean, the tie for the highest over under. He got a lot of targets last week. He runs the ball. So there's a lot of upside to Robert Woods, especially at 5,700. I mean, he's got 12.2 fantasy points per week through 2 weeks. But the first week he only got 4 targets. Coming off 9 targets, had 2 carries. I really like him, 5,700.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, Price.
So I like Russ. Obviously, I like DK Metcalf a lot. It's not a huge difference on Draftkings between the two. On FanDuel, it's like an $800 difference. So I lean DK on that. Justin Jefferson, I like this game. I like Jefferson a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to go off. I'm a Mike Williams guy. I played him last week. Everybody was on Keenan Allen, and he's just a monster, and he's healthy.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty hard to beat a healthy 6'5", 220-pound receiver who can just beat you all over the place. My favorite play, I'm playing him 100% in every lineup, is Marquise Brown. He has a great matchup. He's gone I think he has like 9 targets the last 2 weeks. That's like 170 yards receiving, a couple touchdowns. Detroit sucks.
He's still cheap.
And he's 5,600.
I don't understand it.
He's mispriced.
Yeah.
But him and Sterling Shepard are my 2 favorite middle of the road guys. I think Shep's going to have another 9 target, 7 catches, 100 yards. Atlanta sucks. He's going to score on them. And then cheap play, I like Emmanuel. I was on him last week. I mean, him and Josh Allen haven't really been on the same page. They've missed on a couple deep shots, but I think they're going to hit. He's a savvy veteran. So there's going to be a game where he pops off, and this is a good week for it.
Reminds me of Pittman. Week 1, we played him and did nothing, and then the next week
blew it up.
So that's what that reminds me of. I'm with Price on this. I've been saying it. This Seattle, Minnesota game, I'm all over it. I personally like Lockett a little bit more than Metcalf, but also Jefferson on Minnesota. I love all those plays. I really want to target this game. Tied for the highest over under.
Thielen's been falling too, man.
Yeah, I've just never been a Thielen. I just never been a Thielen guy. I don't know.
Jefferson's just a better athlete.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But with that said, also really like the Robert Woods situation it's so true. Like cup, and then bam, Woods is due with the high scoring affair.
Like Lockett and Metcalf type.
Yeah. Yeah. So Woods is due. And I'm with y'all on all those other picks as well. But that's who I'm looking to target. If you do play Price, your boy Danny Dimes, who are you wanting to pair him with, or are you wanting to just
Shepard
run it solo?
I pair him with Shepard and run it back with Pitts.
Man, you just really never like my. I love Slate. I've always been a Slayton guy, even though he's never been good.
There's zero reason to play any receiver besides Sterling Shepard.
I know. All right, let's quickly touch on tight end and then like one cheap play on defense. Dustin, will you start us off with tight end and we'll wrap everything up?
Yeah, I like Hawkinson again this week. The dude's
what a monster.
Great. Him and Kittle look like they could be brothers. And he has a good rapport with Goff. They're going to be trailing there. And like you said, he's been a monster, pretty good rating matchup wise. And I think he's a solid pick for this week. And he's only 5,200. So he's not, he's averaging 23 points a game. So when you put that in perspective, that's very good value.
What about you, Price? Obviously
Pitts and Hawkinson are like the two I'm putting in every lineup. They have great matchups. They're both going to get 8 targets at least.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce and Darren Waller's Darren Waller, but they're so expensive and pricing is actually pretty tough this week. So I'd rather just drop down. So those two are even Noah Fant. I see he has the Q though. So if Fant misses, that backup from Missouri would be the probably best play at tight end.
Yeah, they're playing the Jets too, which always is worrisome because the Jets suck. But
that like dude, his backup, I think, has had 4 targets each week. So if anything happens to Fant, I don't know how to say his name because it's crazy, but I would lock it. Albert O something.
Yeah. Pitts, I love the young studs, and Pitts is a stud. So I love him in this position. I played him both weeks. I have no reason not to play him week 3. On defense, one cheap play. Who do we like?
I'll just say my favorite team that we've played many times the last couple of years is the Jets.
Jets.
They somehow score points, and they have, I think, one of the lowest over-unders, even though they're like 10-point underdog or whatever it is. But there's not going to be a high-scoring game, so you don't have to worry about a bunch of crazy. Maybe they return a punt or kickoff or something crazy. So usually they won't go negative. So I like them at 2,200.
I have to. If Wentz is out, I'm going to hammer the shit out of the Titans on DraftKings. On FanDuel, they're priced up like a top 6 defense because they're accounted for Wentz not playing. On DraftKings, they're 2,400. And I really like the Bengals defense this week. I know they're not really that good, but their defense actually played okay last week. They just gave up a pick 6 and then a couple short fields.
And Pittsburgh's offense has been off.
Their offensive line is trash. Deontay Johnson's hurt. Big Ben's hurt. I think it's a really, really good cheap play. At 2,100, you get.
Yeah, I wish they were in Cincy, but I agree.
I honestly don't think it matters because Ben today was complaining about how he pulled his pec.
It's because he started diving.
The one thing that we are good at is picking a good cheap defense. If you don't know us, you got to learn. All right. Let's wrap that up. Let's make sure you follow us over at DFS Stats. If you don't want to become a member, no big deal. At least follow us on the socials because we come out with showdown picks and our favorite plays of the week. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that fun stuff. And let's go make some money week 3. Talk to y'all soon.